All right. So this is for people who don't remember how to solve quadratics by completing the square. We're going to start with a being 1 to give the format of it. So we got x squared plus minus bx plus minus c equals 0. All right, well, one thing we're going to do that's different is instead of putting in standard form like it is here, we're going to move the constant on the other side. So we're going to end up with x squared plus minus bx equals c, whether it's positive or negative. Then all we're going to take is b, divide by 2, and square it. All right, we're going to take whatever b is, divide by 2, and square it, and add it to both sides. So you're going to end up with x squared plus minus bx plus minus b over 2 squared equals c plus minus b over 2 squared. All right. This is then going to factor into a perfect square trinomial. All right. You're then going to have some type of number there. All right. Do not expand this because you're going to end up right back where you started. Do the square root of both sides. All right. Whatever that number is. Now remember, it's a plus minus in front. And then your last step is to do the opposite. So you're going to end up in the format. All right. Something like that. All right. So that's the process behind it. Now, see an example. All right. To see an example, we'll do it with numbers. Okay. So let's make it nice and big so everybody can see it. X squared minus 12x plus 8 equals 0. Okay, so step 1 is to get the 8 on the other side by subtracting 8. All right, this is my, okay, oh, too dark. Let's make that a little lighter. Okay, so basically that's our base. So we're going to take that number, all right, and we're going to cut it in half. Okay, we're going to take that number, cut it in half. Half of 12 is, of course, 6. So we're going to have x squared minus 12x. Half of 12 is 6, and we're going to add 36 to both sides. Make sure you do it to both sides. This then factors into x minus 6 squared, all right, equals 28. You're then going to do the square root of both sides. So now that gets rid of the squares. So we're going to have x minus 6 equals, insert equation, plus minus square root of 28. It's your choice whether you want to simplify that in the very beginning or wait until the end. It's completely up to you. Then our last step to solve for x, how to get rid of a minus 6? We add 6. So x ends up being 6. All right. Plus minus. All right. 4 goes into 28, which is a perfect square. Square root of 4 is 2. And then we got square root of 7. We have 6 plus minus 2 root 7. All right, now if a is not equal to 1, so let's say we have 6x squared plus 48x minus 9 equals 0. First step is the same. We're going to get the 9 to the other side. So 6x squared plus 48x equals 9. That's not going to change. Now, all right, whatever the number is, the coefficient of x squared, you're going to factor that out. So in this case, it's 6. Okay, in that case, it's 6. We're going to pull that 6 out. And we're going to have x squared plus 8x. And now we're going to take this number, of course, like we did in the last problem. All right. We're going to cut it in half and square it. So half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. All right. Equals 9 plus. Now, here's the thing. You're not going to add 16 because please keep in mind 16 is being added to 6 or multiplied by 6. So you're actually going to add 16 times 6, the outside number. All right. So this becomes 6 times x squared, x plus 4 squared. All right. Because that's the number on the outside. Oh, excuse me. That's how it factors into equals. And then 16 times 6 is 96. 96 plus 9 is 105. All right. You're then going to divide both sides by whatever that lead coefficient is. All right. In this case, 6. So 105 divided by 6. All right. 3 goes into both the top and the bottom. So you got 35 over 2. All right. We don't run out of room. X plus 4 equals, all right, remember we're going to put a plus minus in front, plus minus square root of 35 over 2. All right. We rationalize the denominator. All right, remember how to do that. Equals, all right, so multiply top because that's going to be the square root. Remember, square root of a fraction is the square root of both parts. So that's the square root of 35 over the square root of 2. All right, since we can't have a radical in the denominator, we rationalize the denominator. And when we're done with that part of the process, all right, we end up with the square root of 70 over 2. All right, and then our last step is to get rid of the plus 4 by subtracting 4 from both sides. All right, negative 4 plus minus. All right, the square root of 70 over 2. All right, and normally we write it with a common denominator. To do that, we would have to multiply the 4 by 2 over here. So that would, at the end of the day, all right, give us negative 8 plus minus square root of 70 over 2. All right, and then we'd be done. Okay, the last thing to think of is if it's not an integer value, for example, 2x squared plus x minus 5 equals 0. First step is to get the 5 on the other side. 2x squared plus x equals 5. Now we're going to pull out the lead coefficient, which is 2. When we do, we'll notice it doesn't go into x. However, you still have to pull it out. All right, that'll give us 1/2 x equals 5. Now we're going to complete the square. All right, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to divide 1/2, which is our b, by 2 and then square that. All right, so 1/2 divided by 2 equals 1/4. And then when we square that, we get 1 over 16. All right, so this becomes 2 times x squared plus 1/2 x plus 1 over 16. Oops. All right, equals 5 plus 1/8. Why is it 1/8? Because we have to take the 2 We have to multiply that by 1 over 16. Oops. I'll do that. I just want to do this part. Maybe it'll let me do it. Maybe it won't. It won't. Okay. So that's where it comes from. All right. Now, this is always going to factor into the square root of that, the one we came into. That's what it always factors into. So this becomes 2 times x plus 1/4 squared equals 5 1/8. All right, because 5 plus 1/8 is 5 1/8. Myself, I would change that into an improper fraction right away to make my life easier. All right. Also recall that that sign is always going to be positive, and this sign will always be the same as this sign right here. So those two signs will always be the same, no matter what, and this should always be positive. All right, now there's a 2 in the front, so we're going to undo the 2 by dividing by 2. All right, so that's going to give me x plus 1/4. And that's going to be squared. Remember from when we worked with period of a trig function, when we divide a fraction by 2, we multiply the denominator by 2. All right, if we multiply 8 by 2, we get 16, so that gives us 41 over 16. All right, we're now going to do a square root of both sides. That'll give me the x plus the 1/4. All right, equals the square root 41 over 16. Now, the good thing about this one is we're not going to have to worry about rationalizing the denominators because 16 is a perfect square. All right. So that'll give me, when I write it out right simplified, the square root of 41 over 4, because the square root of 16 is 4. And now, last thing, how do we get rid of the plus 1/4? We subtract it. So my final answer is x equals negative 1/4. To get rid of the plus 1/4 plus minus. Got that there. Can't forget that. Negative 1/4 plus minus square root of 41 over 4. All right. And that's going to equal as a single rational expression because they have a common denominator with a 1, negative 1 plus minus square root of 41 over 4. All right, so that should help you handle that whole worksheet. Let me know throughout the week if you have any questions. But remember that worksheet is going to be due on Friday. Take care and stay healthy, everybody.